Today I'm making a gooseberry elderflower trifle with pistachio cake, elderflowers and gooseberries from my garden, pistachio cake from my heart. Ah, isn't that nice? Damn that light. The layers are as follows. Sorry, I have a light that's dying and going on and off in the background. Good times, good times. Pistachio cake, gooseberry compote, poached gooseberries and an elderflower simple syrup, custard with elderflower. On the creamy side, by the way. Very nice. Then, pistachio cake, gooseberry compote, gooseberries poached in elderflower syrup, followed by the elderflower custard and topped with the pink flowers of the black elderberry, emitting a lovely aroma all around the cup. You can do these in one big vessel or make it into several. Share them if you want, or just, slowly work your way through them. Nothing wrong with that. Just, enjoy. Elderflower cordial is at the heart of this recipe, so let's do that first. Basically, you're making a simple syrup using water and sugar, bring it to the boil, and then we're gonna cool it down before we add it to our elderflowers. A nice slow steeping to bring out those subtle flavors and not over extract anything. For our gooseberry elderflower trifles, we're gonna be using some black elderflowers. These are from black elderberry bushes, lovely pink, come out a little bit earlier than my regular elderberries. Wild, they can be found growing in hedgerows or wetlands, early June, thereabouts in my neck of the woods, northern Michigan. For the elderflower cordial, we're gonna use lemons and citric acid to bring a double whammy of brightness that works so well with any flower combination. The citrus is just gonna have that sweeter flavor, the citric acid, the 1-2 punch of sourness. Combined with a simple syrup for sweetness, you play on several different flavor components. Steeping this in a cool liquid doesn't over extract anything. Overnight, it turns a beautiful pink color. Give that a strain through a fine sieve, just trying to get out as much liquid as you can, while also not getting too crazy with it. I mean, you could really get a lot out if you really want to. Into a mason jar it goes. If you can't get your hands on elderflowers, there's lots of places on the internet you can buy cordial now. One of the best ones, in my opinion, is Beaver from the Beaver Estate in the UK. Awesome. Phonetically, it looks more like Belvoir, but don't be confused. Not everything is what it seems. Woo! It's good. Grab a spice grinder or the smallest food processor you have. We're gonna blitz these up to a fine powder, stopping before they start coming together into a meal or nut butter. That's easy to do. Into the bowl of a stand mixer fitted with a whisk attachment, we're going to make our cake. Add your egg, sugar, and salt. We are gonna whip this until it's as whipped as you can go. Give or take 10 minutes. Try to triple in volume, make it a cloudy little air. Using a fatless sponge for something like this that has a syrup going into it, you want to get it as open structure as you can so it can accept that syrup and get as saturated as possible. Once you've created a very fluffy consistency that you'd never guess eggs could get to, this is the ribbon stage where it should leave a ribbon on top when you move it around. Add your pistachios and flour to your mix and slowly and gently work that in, trying not to get any air out. You're gonna knock some out, but try not to do it very much. Just be gentle and fold and tuck. Off the wall comes a 9-inch springform pan. We are going to coat the bottom of this in parchment. One of my favorite ways to do this is just smush a big piece on, clamp it up, and trim off the excess to make it look like you did a professional circle. And lo and behold, a perfect fit. Yay! Now, a little oil goes in, and our mix. We're gonna put this into a preheated 325 oven and bake it for 20 to 25 minutes until there's no sing-songy noises coming from the bubbles, and cool it down. For our gooseberries, I'm using Hanamaki gooseberries. These are from my garden. They're from Finland, the varietal originally. They have a lovely elongated structure, turned purple and sweet. Dessert gooseberry, maybe? Although most gooseberries, in my opinion, are better used at the bright stage, which is when most of them are used. Once they ripen, even though they're sweet, gooseberries tend to be a bit on the mealy side and less enjoyable than something like a grape, which it looks very similar to, size, shape, and texture. But for cooking, lovely sour flavors that gooseberries impart really can't be beat and embodies that early summer thing so well, especially in the UK. In the States, gooseberries and currants are just starting to make a comeback after being banned for about 60 years in the early 1900s, so slowly but surely, we're all starting to enjoy them again. Unlike in Europe, where they never stopped enjoying them. For our gooseberry compote, we're gonna fill up our pan, pick out any leaves, add a little bit of water and sugar. Gonna cook this down to make a nice, smooth compote. I wouldn't worry about topping and tailing these at this point, because I'm gonna strain them and make life way easier. On a medium-high heat, we're gonna cover this and cook for 10 or 15 minutes until they're basically falling apart. Making a compote out of gooseberries creates a lovely uniform sourness. When I combine that with the poached gooseberries in the trifle, it fills in the gaps from the sour popping whole gooseberries with a little bit of a sweeter sour flavor that works really well together. Go ahead and pop these into a blender or a food processor. We're gonna blitz these up to a fine puree. Just go for a minute or so. It doesn't take too much to get these nice and smooth. Into a bowl, fit it with the strainer. We're gonna pour it in, work it through the sieve with a spatula. All those tops and tails should be left behind. Maybe like 1% make it through. You know, probably less than 1%, you know, just a couple. No big deal, you're not gonna see it anyways. Elderflower custard ingredients, whole milk, egg yolks, salt, sugar, cornstarch, elderflower cordial, and a very full cream bowl. Yay. This is a creamier custard. It doesn't have a ton of egg yolks in it, and it makes a really nice balance between almost like a whipped cream custard combo. Into a large bowl, we're gonna whip our egg yolks with our cornstarch, have that set aside and ready to temper it once we get our liquid hot. Into a large saucepan, add our very full cream bowl, scrape out the rest of it, add our whole milk, spatula, elderflower cordial, sugar, and a little bit of salt. Whack that up to medium-high heat until it's simmering, just lightly, and whisk, whisk, whisk. Bring that all to temp and pour it back in to your saucepan. Now for the custard making step. This creme anglaise, I think it's okay to call that even though it's cornstarch, is lovely. Get it going. Don't let it bubble. You want it to just get thick enough to coat your finger. Put it through a strainer, chill it down. You should also cover it by pushing down plastic wrap, which I forgot to do. Last but not least, we have our poached gooseberry component. This you do want to make them look pretty for. Any of them that are pressed against the glass, in particular in the cups, don't want to have those tops and tails. You can use a knife or scissors, but I find it easiest just to use my fingernails. Have a taste. Yep, that's a gooseberry. Once you get them all topped and tailed into water, go ahead and pick off anything that floats to the surface. Strain it, call it a day. Into our large saucepan, we're gonna make a simple syrup of water and sugar. Bring it to a simmer, add your gooseberries, give it a little bit of a stir from now and then. This is just gonna go for 3 minutes, just get them soft. Don't wanna break them down at all, just so they're slightly soft. Did I say soft? Soft. You want them soft, not too soft, you know. Still looking like gooseberries. Reheat. We're gonna make this into a syrup. Take it down until it's a thicker consistency. You'll be able to tell just when it starts opening up a little on the bottom like that, resisting. You don't want it too thick. And then kill the heat, add your elderflower cordial. It's important to do this at the end so that you maintain as much of that flavor as you can. Pour that into a bowl. This is pistachio cake bound. Give it a taste, make sure it's okay. Yep, it is, good. All right, Grab your spring form that's nice and cool, give it a little run around with the knife, flip it over, poke some holes into it with whatever tool you find at hand, and begin saturating this fully. Just keep brushing away until what you see is your simple syrup pooling on the surface, an indication that it's taken as much as it can for now. All right. Grab your components and some glasses. We're gonna build us some trifles. A couple different size cutters will be good for this, especially if you think you're getting straight-sided glasses like I did, and they're slightly not straight. There's a word for that, I can't think of it right now. My solution, use 2 different cutters. You want these cake pieces to really fit tight into the sides, to not let liquids go too much beyond them. They will, because it's cake, it's not like a rubber stopper. So for the bottom, I'm using a smaller one than for the top, which I measured out. First, we start with a cake layer, then a compote layer, then a gooseberry poached layer, then a custard layer, and repeat until we have a top with custard that we're gonna put our elderflower heads on as decoration, which is totally optional, but it does add a nice little component to the top. Just continue assembling away until you have several cups nice and full, pretty, with striated layers that look so nice. Perfect for a warm summer's day, or like today, pouring out rain, just like it would be in England while they're eating them in the summer, more than likely. All right, 3 cups assembled. I have these for fixing sensors on my printer. They're called Q-tips, and it worked good for that. I was just cleaning off a little bit of gooseberry. All right, taste test. I find it important to really think about what I'm eating for a minute before I start talking. There's something magical in the combination on its own of sour things with custard. The fun thing about trifle is as you work your way down through the layers, you get this changing experience. Most things when you're eating it, there's a component or 2 that you could vary throughout, but a trifle, I feel like there's like 4 or 5 different types of spoonfuls you could get out of it, whether it's just the top layer, the top 2 layers, working into the middle, you know, the pistachio flavor. Once you get that hit on top of the gooseberries, by poaching the gooseberries as well, you get this wonderful little pop of sourness. What I've done is surrounded them with the gooseberry compote for an even sourness. Little bit of combination, contrast play in good times, summer. Thank you, England, for lovely desserts like this. Woo! Today I'm making a gooseberry elderflower cake. It has pistachio, cake? No, trifle.